The ocean doesn't care who you are. It doesn't know titles, or bank accounts, or skin color. It just moves, slow, certain, endless. Logan doesn't care much either. Not about the guests, anyway. He's been on the yacht 6 weeks. Same uniform. Same fake smile. Same quiet judgment. He calls it reading the room. He's good at it, or so he thinks. That afternoon, the sun hits the deck, just right, soft, golden, magazine-worthy. Logan's clearing glasses from the bar when he sees a man standing alone near the railing. Black, mid-50s, simple polo, loafers, hands in pockets. No name tag, no drink in hand, not talking to anyone. Logan walks over, tightening his jaw like he's dealt with this before. Hey, this area is for guests only. Staff's supposed to stay off the upper deck, unless you're serving. The man doesn't respond at first, just keeps looking out at the horizon. Logan steps closer. You hear me? You lost or something? Now the man turns. Eyes steady. Calm. Not offended. Just measuring. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. His voice is even. Controlled. Almost too calm. Logan scoffs. All right, man, whatever. Just don't let the boss catch you up here yet. The man doesn't answer. Just turns. Walks toward the staircase. Not rushed. Not ashamed. Just quiet. Logan mutters under his breath. Every damn time. They think they can blend in. And then he goes back to polishing glasses, never once looking back. He doesn't know the schedule. He doesn't know the name printed on the documents in the captain's office. He doesn't know that every single person on board, including the captain, the chefs, the guests, is here because that man paid for it. But he's going to find out. Like if you've ever been spoken to like you didn't belong. Comment if silence ever had the last word. Share this with someone who carries more than they show. The yacht has 12 bedrooms, 3 decks, 2 jacuzzis, and more silver than most people will ever see in a lifetime. But Mr. Ellis only uses 1 room. He arrives without fanfare. No entourage. No luggage parade. Just a single leather duffel bag and a Kindle that he rarely charges because he still prefers hardcover. The crew calls him Mr. Ellis, but few have spoken more than 5 words to him. Not because he's rude, just because he doesn't need to explain himself. He's not the kind of billionaire that performs wealth. He doesn't wear gold watches or limited edition shoes. He wears what's clean, carries what works, and he listens far more than he speaks. He wakes up at 5:47 a.m., not because he has to, but because his body still runs like a man who built himself from scratch. Coffee black. 1 hard-boiled egg. No butter. No sugar. He eats alone, standing. Not because he's in a hurry, just because he likes to feel his own weight in the morning. Then he walks the deck, always barefoot. He says the wood tells you more about the ocean than the view ever will. He nods to the crew, but never interrupts. He notices everything. Who cleans well, who rushes, who pretends not to see him. And he remembers. He always remembers. Logan, the server, never says good morning to him. He nods at the older white men in branded polos. He laughs with the junior VPs in mirrored sunglasses. He holds eye contact with the tan woman in yoga gear who tips well. But when Mr. Ellis walks by, Logan looks down. Not out of respect, out of assumption. Mr. Ellis notices. He always does. There are no meetings on his calendar, no assistants hovering, no tech gear flashing. But he works quietly. Most of his work happens in presence. He watches who listens when others speak. He pays attention to who cuts off whom. He lets people reveal what they think power looks like. And when the time comes, he decides who stays, who rises, and who doesn't get invited back. In the evenings, he reads. Not business books. He already rewrote those. He reads Baldwin. He rereads Invisible Man. He keeps a copy of Letters to My Son folded in his back pocket, so worn the spine barely holds. He says reading reminds him who he is beneath the net worth. Every time he boards the yacht, he picks 1 crew member to pay attention to. Last time, it was a dishwasher, Haitian kid, barely 20, who said good morning in 4 languages just in case. This time it's Logan. Not because Logan is kind, but because Logan thinks no one sees him when he's rude. And Mr. Ellis knows something most men forget: how someone treats who they think is beneath them. Tells you everything you need to know. On day 2 of the retreat, Logan walks past him again. Mr. Ellis is sitting on the side bench, reading. Logan says to another staffer, not bothering to whisper, "Honestly, they should keep the workers off the guest decks. Looks messy." Mr. Ellis doesn't flinch, doesn't look up. He just turns the page. Slow, precise, memorizing every word. That night, the guests gather for the welcome dinner. It's all light chatter. Handshakes. Love what you've done with the place. How's the portfolio? Logan moves between tables with a fake grin and quick hands. He brings drinks faster to those who look like him. He lingers longer at tables where no one looks like Ellis. What Logan doesn't see: Mr. Ellis is watching. From the upper deck, hands behind his back, no glass in hand. He's not there to network. He's there to remember. At 10:17 p.m., the captain joins him. "Smooth night so far, sir." "So far," Ellis says. He nods to the deck below. They think I'm not paying attention. The captain smiles lightly, doesn't argue. Mr. Ellis sips his water, swirls the glass once. "But I've been underestimated longer than they've been alive." Then he turns and walks inside. Later that night, at his cabin, he opens a drawer, takes out a single envelope. Inside it, the full breakdown of the company's department restructuring. Names, positions, salaries, recommendations. On page 3, there's a list of non-essential contractor roles. One of those roles, yacht staff, Tier 3 support. Under that, highlighted, Logan R. Ellis circles the name, then closes the folder. He doesn't cross it out. Not yet. He still has 2 days left. Sometimes, the lesson has to land on its own. On the deck below, Logan laughs loudly at a guest's joke. Says something about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. Mr. Ellis hears it through the open window, and he smiles. Not out of joy, out of recognition. Day 3. The yacht is anchored just off the coast of Bimini. The sky is the color of polished silver. The sea barely moves, like it's holding its breath. Logan's mood, however, is not so still. He's tired, hungover, bitter that the guests tipped light last night. He blames it on the new crowd, says they don't understand how service works. He says it loudly enough for the cleaning crew to hear, but not loud enough for the manager to care. Mr. Ellis is already on the main deck. He's early as always. Not reading today, just standing near the rail, watching the horizon. He doesn't look important. That's what unsettles people like Logan the most. At 9:06 a.m., Logan is walking trays of fresh-cut fruit to the dining area. He's muttering to himself, "Another day of pretending. These people really think money makes manners." As he turns the corner, he nearly bumps into Mr. Ellis. There's no collision, no drop tray. Just a moment, a human pause. Logan exhales sharply. "Whoa, careful, man. You almost made me spill this." Mr. Ellis steps back, hands up slightly, calm. Wasn't moving. "Well, still, you guys shouldn't be crowding the walkways during service." You guys. Just 2 words, but they land with the weight of 1,000 assumptions. Mr. Ellis looks at him, eyes steady. "And what is it you think I do here?" Logan huffs. "I mean, you're with cleaning, right? Or food prep? No offense." He says no offense, like it erases the words that came before it. Mr. Ellis says nothing, just tilts his head slightly. A look not of anger, but of recognition, like he's seen this movie before. Logan shifts his stance, sensing something shift, but not enough to back off. Just saying, the guests are paying for space and experience, you know? It's confusing when staff blend in. He chuckles like he made a joke. Mr. Ellis doesn't laugh. "And if I were a guest?" Logan's smile fades, just slightly. "Well, sure, if you were, I mean, it's just, I didn't see your badge, or, guests don't wear badges." "Right, but," Mr. Ellis holds up a single hand. Not aggressive, not angry, just done. "What's your name?" "Logan." "Logan," he repeats softly. "Good. That's good to know." Then he turns and walks away. Not fast, Not with drama. Just with the kind of calm you only earn when you no longer need to prove anything. Logan stands there for a beat, wipes his hands on his apron, shakes his head. Whatever. Probably won't last past this season anyway. He doesn't realize how loud he said it. A fellow server hears him, raises an eyebrow, doesn't say anything. But later they will. At breakfast, Mr. Ellis sits alone, takes the corner seat at the long teakwood table. No phone, no laptop, just coffee and silence. People greet him with polite nods. He responds with quiet eye contact, the kind that makes people straighten their backs. Across the table, one of the tech VPs whispers to a colleague, "Is he on the board? I've seen him before." Dunno. He's got that look, though. Yeah, like he signs things. Logan serves plates to the other end of the table. He avoids Mr. Ellis's side entirely, but he feels the air shift, the quiet way others glance over, the way conversation softens when Mr. Ellis lifts his cup. At 11:40 a.m., the captain hosts a welcome toast on the upper deck. Everyone is gathered, champagne in hand, sunglasses on. The captain taps his glass. "Before we dive into our weekend agenda, I'd like to thank the man whose vision and generosity made this gathering possible. Please welcome our host, Mr. Benjamin Ellis." Logan stops mid-step. He turns toward the voice, toward the applause, toward the man who's now walking slowly to the front, calm as ever. Mr. Ellis doesn't take the mic. He doesn't clear his throat. He just lets the silence speak for a second longer than comfort allows. Then he says, "I appreciate you all being here. My team and I chose each of you for a reason, and I'll be watching closely. Not just how you perform, but how you carry yourselves when you think no one's watching." He smiles. Small. Certain. That tells me more than resumes ever could. Then he steps back. No grand closing. No applause cue. Just truth, and the weight of who it came from. Logan doesn't move. He feels the champagne bottle sweat in his hand. Feels the weight of his own assumptions pulling him downward. He tries to laugh it off. Mumbles something to a nearby guest about misunderstandings. But no one's really listening. The rest of the day moves like fog. Mr. Ellis doesn't mention it. Doesn't call Logan out. Doesn't demand an apology. He doesn't need to. Because Logan knows. And now, so does everyone else. That evening, alone in the crew hallway, Logan opens his phone, Googles Benjamin Ellis net worth. Then scrolls, and scrolls, and scrolls. Co-founder of 7X Capital. Early investor in 10 of the top 20 tech platforms. One of the first black men to sit on the boards of 4 Fortune 100 companies simultaneously. And at the bottom of the article, a quote, "I don't correct people when they assume I don't belong. I just wait for the moment they find out I do." Logan stares at the screen, then lowers it. There's a room on the yacht no one ever goes into. It's not locked, not hidden, just unused. It's the smallest cabin, tucked behind the laundry storage, barely big enough for a cot and a desk. But every time Mr. Ellis boards, he spends his first 5 minutes there. He opens the door, steps inside, stands still. He doesn't bring anything with him. Doesn't sit. Doesn't adjust the window. He just stands, breathes, remembers, then closes the door, and moves on. No one knows the room used to be his. Long before the yacht was his, before the investments, the board seats, the Forbes profiles. Mr. Ellis used to work in that very room, scrubbing other people's clothes. Back then, he was just Ben. The temp. The one they tipped $5 at the end of a long charter and called good help. No one asked his last name. No one wondered what else he knew. No one thought he belonged anywhere but below deck. He learned fast. Not to complain. Not to correct. Just to watch. And wait. One morning, back in '98, a guest had spilled red wine on a $4,000 dress shirt. Ben had it dry cleaned and pressed within an hour. The guest didn't thank him. Just looked him up and down and said, "Didn't expect someone like you to get it right." He smiled. Not out of pride. Out of data collection. Moments like that, he stored them. Not as wounds, but as fuel. In the years that followed, Ben worked. Not in a rush. Not with noise. Just every day. 2 jobs. Night school. He'd come off the boat at 6 a.m. and head straight to the campus library. He read things no one recommended. Black economic theory, naval engineering, behavioral finance, power dynamics in corporate hierarchy. He read because it made him dangerous in rooms that wanted him invisible. And he remembered every man who called him boy. Every woman who clutched her purse. Every boss who mistook his quiet for simple-mindedness. They weren't enemies. They were mirrors. And he learned how to never look like them. The first company he built failed in silence. No headlines. No press. Just debt and disappointment. But he didn't quit. The second one didn't fail. Neither did the third. Or the fourth. By the fifth, he had his own yacht. And no one recognized him when he walked on board. So now, when Logan called him cleaning staff, it wasn't new. It wasn't painful. It was familiar. Like hearing the echo of a song you haven't played in 20 years. You don't need to dance to it. You just notice it's still playing for some people. After Logan's comment, Mr. Ellis didn't vent, didn't tell the captain, didn't pull rank. Instead, he returned to the small cabin, stood there, hands in pockets, eyes closed, then opened the drawer of the desk, took out a small, folded note, yellowed with age. It was from Claudine, the first steward who ever treated him like he mattered. She'd written, "Don't let the world tell you who you are before you've decided. Even quiet people have thunder." He read that line again, then placed it back in the drawer, and walked out. Elsewhere on the yacht, Logan is joking with a group of younger staff. I mean, how was I supposed to know? The dude doesn't dress like a billionaire. Another laughs. You're lucky he didn't fire you on the spot. Logan shrugs. Whatever. Guys like that don't care. He probably won't even remember. A voice cuts in. Not loud. Not hostile. Just there. He remembers everything. They turn. It's Jordan, the deckhand. 19, skinny. Quiet. Mr. Ellis isn't the type to forget who you are, especially after you show him. Logan rolls his eyes. He didn't say anything, though. Jordan just smiles. Exactly. That night, the dinner feels different. The guests still toast. The staff still serves. But the air has a new weight. Mr. Ellis sits at the head of the table. No plate, just a glass of water. He watches the room, the way an architect watches a building lean. He doesn't say much. But when he stands to excuse himself early, every voice softens. Logan watches him go. Doesn't know whether to apologize or disappear. He does neither. He just stays seated. Still. For once. In his cabin, Mr. Ellis opens his notebook. A single line today. They still think silence means softness. He closes it, turns off the light, and lets the sea remind him. Stillness can carry storms. Cameron has been a steward on luxury yachts for 6 years. He's good at his job. Folds towels like origami. Polishes silver until it reflects full sentences. He keeps his head down. Stays neutral. Doesn't ask questions. Doesn't pick sides. He calls it professional distance. But lately, that distance has been harder to keep. He saw the moment. He was 2 steps behind Logan when it happened. When Logan told Mr. Ellis, "You guys shouldn't be crowding the walkways." Cameron didn't flinch. Didn't say a word. Just kept walking. That's what they're trained to do. You don't react when the wrong person gets spoken to the wrong way. You don't correct someone in uniform. You don't get involved. But that night, Cameron couldn't sleep. He lay in his bunk, hands clasped behind his head, eyes open to the dark. And for the first time in a long time, he felt something stick. He remembered his own first week on a yacht like this, nervous, eager, full of yes sirs and tight smiles. He'd once been mistaken for a delivery man during a private party. They told him, "Kitchen's around back," even though he was carrying the wine list, not the boxes. He didn't say anything, just nodded, turned around, and walked to the back, like he was supposed to. But Mr. Ellis hadn't. He hadn't raised his voice, hadn't snapped. He just asked, "What is it you think I do here?" Cameron had never heard anyone ask it like that. Not angry, not afraid, just aware. The next morning, Cameron was up before the rest of the crew. He polished the railings early, wiped the glass twice. But his thoughts weren't on the deck. They were still on the man by the railing. The way he stood. The way he took up space, without filling it with noise. That kind of stillness wasn't passivity. It was power with its sleeves rolled up. At breakfast, Cameron noticed Logan avoiding eye contact. He also noticed something else. The way the guests spoke to Mr. Ellis now. Softer. More direct. With curiosity, not assumption. Like they were starting to ask themselves, why didn't I see him before? Cameron caught Leah, the assistant chef, between shifts. Hey, that guy, the one Logan snapped at. Mr. Ellis? Yeah, he's the real owner, right? Leah raised an eyebrow. Not just of the yacht, of most of the businesses these execs work for. Damn. Cameron let that sit, then said, mostly to himself, he carries it like it's nothing. Leah nodded. That's how you know it's real. That afternoon, Mr. Ellis came down to the lower deck. No entourage, no announcement, just him, walking past the crew lounge like he'd done it 1,000 times. He paused by the cold storage. Cameron was there, taking inventory. He turned, startled, and straightened up. Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Ellis looked at him, really looked, then gave the smallest of nods. You've been paying attention. Cameron froze. Sir, not to me, Mr. Ellis said. To everything. Then he placed a bottle of water on the counter. You'll go far. And walked away. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. But Cameron stood there a full minute longer than necessary, staring at the bottle. He didn't smile. But something in his spine straightened. That evening, while the staff was clearing dinner, Logan leaned over and said, Man, he's got everyone walking around like he's royalty. Cameron didn't answer. Logan smirked. I'm just saying, people like that are good at playing invisible until it's time to flex. Cameron looked up. Or maybe people like us are just used to not looking. Logan blinked. Didn't respond. For once. Later, Cameron took the long way back to his bunk. Past the small cabin behind storage. He'd never been inside. Didn't even know what it was for. But he stopped. Rested his hand on the doorframe. Just stood there a moment. Not touching the handle. Just listening to the quiet inside. Like there was something sacred in the stillness. Back in his bunk, Cameron wrote in his phone journal. A habit he never admitted to anyone. He typed. Power doesn't always knock. Sometimes it watches. And waits. And sometimes it's the quietest man in the room that rewrites the whole story. He saved it. Locked his phone. Slept deeper than he had in months. The sky is clear, but the air feels heavier. Something unspoken has settled over the yacht. Not tension, not conflict, but a kind of shift. Like gravity had quietly adjusted itself, and only a few people noticed. Logan is one of them. He wakes up late. Not by much, maybe 10 minutes. But enough for the rhythm of the day to feel off. He rushes through his prep, half-irons his shirt, forgets to clean the edge of his shoes, something he usually obsesses over. He keeps telling himself it's just a weird morning. But he knows better. He felt it last night. That moment when Mr. Ellis stood, said a single line, and every room on the yacht rearranged itself around it. Not with applause. Not with awe. Just silence that stuck. Breakfast service is quick. Most guests are out on the smaller boats, off to explore the coast. Only a few linger in the main salon. Mr. Ellis isn't among them. And that somehow makes it worse. Logan finds himself glancing toward the stairs more often than he means to, waiting for the man who already said everything without saying much at all. At 10:32 a.m., Cameron walks by with a tray of citrus water. They cross paths near the back deck. Hey, Logan says. Did you talk to him? Cameron pauses. Mr. Ellis? Yeah. I mean, like, personally. Cameron sets the tray down, adjusts a glass, then says, He told me I've been paying attention. Logan frowns. That's it. Cameron shrugs. That was enough. Then picks up the tray and walks on. Logan stands there longer than he should, pretending to wipe a counter that doesn't need wiping. Later, Logan's sent to serve lunch on the upper deck. A smaller group today. Just 4 execs, 2 guests, and Leah assisting with plating. As he sets down glasses, one of the guests, a woman in a navy sundress, leans over and says, So, is he really the owner? That man from last night? Logan freezes. I think so, he says. Tries to sound casual. He doesn't act like one. No, Logan says, quieter this time. He really doesn't. She nods, then adds, that's probably why everyone's nervous now. Then she turns back to her salad. Logan doesn't respond, because she's not wrong. At 2:13 p.m., the assistant manager pulls him aside. Hey, quick heads up. Crew assignments are being rotated tomorrow. You'll be on logistics and below-deck service. What? Why? Just came from upstairs. Upstairs never means the actual top deck. It means Mr. Ellis. Logan swallows hard. Am I in trouble? The manager blinks. No one said that. But am I? I don't think this is about punishment. Then what's it about? A pause. Then softer. Sometimes people don't want to look at what they reminded you of. And that's it. No lecture. No confrontation. Just a move. And Logan is left standing in the hallway, holding his new assignment sheet, like a notice of demotion that no one needed to sign. That evening, during wind-down service, Logan walks past Carter's corner. He never noticed it before. A small shelf near the front, labeled neatly. Practical tools. Essentials. Cameron is restocking it. What is this? Logan asks. Mr. Ellis's idea. Cameron replies. Seriously, he said most people don't need luxury. They just need something that works. Logan stares at the shelf. There's nothing special on it. No fancy packaging, no shine. Just tools that last. I used to think I had a red on everyone. Logan says suddenly. Cameron raises an eyebrow. Maybe you did. Then walks away. By 8:45 p.m., the decks are quiet. The stars are out. The sea calm. Logan steps outside. He sees Mr. Ellis sitting alone near the back rail, drink in hand. No security. No guests. No audience. Just a man who now occupies far more space than Logan ever gave him credit for. He hesitates. Then walks over. Stops just close enough to be heard. Sir. Mr. Ellis looks up. Eyes still. Not cold. Not warm. Just tired of being seen too late. I didn't know. Logan says. No. Mr. Ellis replies. You didn't want to. That one lands. Harder than shouting ever could. Logan tries again. I didn't mean to. You meant to decide who I was. Mr. Ellis interrupts. And you were wrong. He takes a sip from his glass. But I've been called worse. By men with more money and less imagination. Logan doesn't know where to put his hands. Is there anything I can say? Mr. Ellis doesn't move. Not to me. Then turns back toward the sea. That's it. No raised voice. No dressing down. Just truth. Logan walks away. And the deck behind him feels longer than it did before. That night, in his bunk, Logan stares at the ceiling. The fan clicks softly above. A crew member laughs somewhere down the corridor. He opens his phone. Searches Benjamin Ellis' speech on YouTube. Watches a clip, 3 minutes long. In it, Ellis says, you can't correct every person who sees you as less, but you can make sure they're still watching when you show them more. Logan watches it twice, then closes the app, and finally understands what landed. Not judgment, not rejection, just clarity. The next morning, the sea is quiet, glass like water. A single gull overhead, the kind of silence that doesn't beg to be filled. Mr. Ellis is already up. He's usually the first one on deck, but today he's not walking. He's sitting. In the same chair, same position, but wearing something different. A simple navy t-shirt. Across the chest. Ellis Maritime Holdings. Small font. No shine. But unmistakable. It's the first time he's worn the name out loud. The crew notices first. Cameron spots it from the lower stairs. He pauses. Eyes narrow. Leah sees it next. She doesn't say anything, just nods once, like something has been set in motion. Logan. He doesn't see it until after the morning meeting. When he brings up a tray of lemon water, he glances up and freezes mid-step. There it is. Plain as day. Mr. Ellis, seated. Calm. Wearing his name like a warning that doesn't need to raise its voice. He says nothing about it. Doesn't point. Doesn't smile. But he wears the shirt all morning, during the guest check-ins, during the logistics walkthrough with the captain, during his quiet moment alone on the bridge. He wears it like a decision, not to show off, just to stop hiding. After lunch, a guest approaches him near the espresso bar. Young, polished, probably 30. One of those new money types who speaks in bullet points. "Mr. Ellis, sir. I didn't realize you were that Ellis." Mr. Ellis looks up from his cup. "There's more than one?" "No, I just mean we've been on this boat for 2 days, and no one told us." "Didn't think it was relevant." The guest shifts his weight. "I think it is." "Why?" No answer. Just a long, awkward smile. Then a slow nod. "You know," the guest adds, "it's funny. I treated you like just a regular guy." "That's not funny." Mr. Ellis sips his espresso. "That's the problem." Word spreads by afternoon. The crew murmurs. The guests whisper. A few even look nervous when they speak to him now, unsure of whether their past small talk landed wrong. But Ellis walks the deck with the same ease, not demanding anything, just visible. At 2:30 p.m., Logan walks through the service corridor. He's not on Ellis's floor anymore. His new assignment keeps him down low. Storage, prep, restocking. But he hears the stories echo down. That Ellis complimented a new hire on his posture. That he adjusted the thermostat for the crew kitchen without being asked. That he signed off on a scholarship for the chef's son. All in one day. Not with flourish. Just as a man who no longer has to whisper to be kind. By 4 p.m., the captain finds Mr. Ellis near the bow. Crew's been asking about the shirt. Mr. Ellis raises an eyebrow. "Good. You planning to start wearing the brand more?" "No," Ellis says. "I'm planning to stop making it easier for people to ignore what they already know." The captain nods. Doesn't ask further. Because he knows the most dangerous thing about Mr. Ellis isn't his silence. It's what happens when he finally decides to be seen. At dinner, Ellis doesn't sit at the head of the table. He chooses a seat 2/3 down, beside the interns, the ones no one introduces first. He pours his own water, answers questions only when asked. But the whole table leans toward him, even those too proud to admit it. Logan watches from the bar. He sees the posture, the nods, the subtle shift in language. People aren't networking. They're adjusting. He glances at the tray of name tags from day one, all handwritten, mostly crumpled. One still sits pristine at the top. Benjamin Ellis, owner. He picks it up, holds it for a moment, then sets it down again. Because some names you can't touch without burning your fingers. That night, as the sun lowers itself into the sea, Mr. Ellis walks the deck one last time. The shirt still on. The day behind him. He passes Cameron. "Good work today." "You too, sir." He passes Leah. She just gives a thumbs up, then goes back to cleaning. He passes Logan. They don't speak. But Logan looks up, really looks. And for once, he doesn't see someone he misjudged. He sees the line he crossed, and the man who let him walk back without being invited. Mr. Ellis reaches the small cabin behind storage, opens the door, steps inside. He doesn't stay long, just long enough to unfold the shirt he used to wear, plain gray, worn at the collar. He folds it once, twice, places it in the drawer beneath the desk, then closes it, not with finality, but with purpose. One small change, one silent shift, but the echo will carry. By the next morning, no one calls him Mr. E. anymore. It's Mr. Ellis, now full name with pause. The kind of tone people use when they're not sure if they owe you more than just a title. The shift doesn't come with trumpets. It comes in murmurs, glances, tiny hesitations. But it's there. During breakfast service, one of the newer interns, Kelly, quietly moves her seat. She slides from the end of the table to a spot one chair closer to Mr. Ellis. Not directly beside him, but close enough to ask a question without yelling. He doesn't comment on the move. But when she asks about his thoughts on emerging tech markets, he doesn't brush her off. He answers slowly, simply, like her question was worth time. On the lower deck, Cameron notices something too. A few crew members who used to laugh off Logan's jokes They've stopped. Not loudly. Not confrontationally. They just don't play along anymore. That laughter has become a little too sharp. A little too traceable. Even the captain starts using Ellis's name differently. Not as a formality, but as a reference point. Let's check with Mr. Ellis before we change that route. Mr. Ellis mentioned he prefers lower lighting during evening transitions. Logan hears it every time. Each mention like a polite bell ringing in the hallway. Not calling him out, just reminding him, you were wrong. And now everyone knows it. That afternoon, during a deckside mixer, Ellis stands near the bar. Not the center, not the stage. Just off to the side, sipping water with lemon. A guest, tall, smooth voice, tech startup type, walks over. Logan is nearby, serving. The guest says, Mr. Ellis, I've read about you. Didn't realize it was you on board. Why keep it quiet? Ellis tilts his head. Why did you only come over once you knew who I was? The guest smiles awkwardly. Starts to speak. Ellis waves it off. Don't answer. Just think about it. And takes another sip. Logan doesn't look up, but he hears every word. And something about the way it was said. Not bitter, not smug, just clean. Settles under his skin. At 3:47 p.m., a woman from the investment firm, middle-aged, high heels on the deck like she owns it, comes by the bar. She nods at Logan. Hey, could you? She pauses. Looks at his name tag. Sorry, Logan. Could you send a ginger ale to Mr. Ellis's table? I'll cover it. He nods, takes the order. But the moment after she walks off, he just stands still for a beat, because that's the first time someone outside of staff used his name. Later that night, Leah finds Logan by the service elevator. She's finishing up a checklist, earbuds in. He looks tired. Not from work, from carrying a thing too long. You all right? She asks. He doesn't answer right away. Just stares at the floor, then finally mutters, I thought I knew how this worked. Leah takes one earbud out. How it worked? Power. Respect. Who you're supposed to treat like what? And he shakes his head. Turns out I was measuring the wrong things. Leah doesn't lecture, doesn't pity. She just says, then maybe stop measuring. Start noticing. Then walks away. The next morning, Logan's first shift puts him back on the top deck, just for one delivery. A tray of fresh fruit. Chilled towels. Still water with cucumber. Ellis is already there. Reading. Logan hesitates, then approaches. Mr. Ellis. Yes. Logan sets the tray down carefully. Would you like the water on your left, or? You choose. Logan pauses. Right side then. Ellis nods. No smile. No small talk. But he lets Logan make the choice. And that, somehow, feels heavier than forgiveness. In the afternoon, Cameron walks past Logan near the crew lounge. He doesn't stop. Doesn't say much. Just, you're quieter now. Logan exhales. Trying to hear what I used to miss. Cameron nods once. Good. Then keeps walking. By day's end, the yacht feels changed. Not transformed. Just recalibrated. No one's yelling. No one's apologizing in public. But people watch their words a little more. They look a beat longer before assuming. And every time Mr. Ellis walks into a room, no one forgets who they're looking at anymore. That night, Ellis eats alone. He takes the same corner seat. No fanfare. Just a book beside his plate. Kelly walks by and quietly places a cup of tea next to him. No lemon today, right? Ellis looks up. Correct. Thank you. She smiles. And for a moment, the room feels more aligned than it did 3 days ago. Upstairs, Logan finishes closing out his section. He walks by the folded name tags again. Stops. Picks up one. Not his own. Not Ellis's. Just a blank one. He writes nothing on it. But he holds it for a moment. Then puts it back. Because sometimes the point isn't putting your name on something. It's learning to stop assuming who's wearing which one. The yacht docks 3 days later. Early morning. Light fog curling over the marina. Miami skyline looks half asleep, but the crew is already in motion. Checklists. Luggage. Final walkthroughs. But beneath the routine, something else hums. Something unspoken but real. The week changed things. Cameron notices it first. Normally, dock days are loud, jokes, backslaps, half-hearted goodbyes between crew who won't speak again until the next contract. But this time, people are quieter, more deliberate, like they're trying to leave without being remembered for the wrong thing. Mr. Ellis steps off the yacht at 7:12 a.m. sharp. Same leather duffel bag, same calm walk. But now the entire staff knows whose name paid for the yacht beneath their feet. And more importantly, they know how he carried that power. Not with noise, not with correction, with presence. He pauses at the dock, turns to the captain. Good voyage. Thank you, sir. As always. I'll be watching the evaluations closely. The captain nods, understands. Leah catches a rideshare at 8 a.m. As she leaves, she hands Cameron a folded note. From Mr. Ellis, she says. Didn't want to make a thing out of it. Inside is a handwritten thank you. Simple, precise. Not just for her cooking, but for how she made people feel fed. She keeps it in her wallet, next to a photo of her grandmother. By noon, the guest emails start rolling in. Thank you for an elegant, seamless week. Still thinking about that toast from the quiet gentleman in Navy. Was that really the Benjamin Ellis? If so, please extend our thanks. Cameron watches the manager sort through them, nodding to himself. One man changed the entire tone. He mutters. Not with budget, not with flash, just by refusing to shrink. Logan gets home late that night. His apartment is still warm from closed windows. The fan clicks. The fridge hums. He drops his bag, showers in silence, then opens his laptop. He hesitates for a full minute before typing. To HR at Ellis Group CEO. Subject inquiry. He stops, deletes the subject line, closes the laptop, because he knows there's no coming back from being seen clearly. Not when the man you dismissed is the reason your resume holds weight at all. 3 weeks pass. Logan doesn't get fired, but the next round of crew contracts goes out. He doesn't get one. No explanation, no comment, just a list, and his name isn't on it. And that silence, it stings sharper than any warning ever could. Meanwhile, Cameron gets pulled aside by the manager. Got a call from one of Mr. Ellis's team. They're staffing a long-term charter. 3-month run. Interested. Cameron blinks. Wasn't expecting that. You weren't supposed to. That's kind of the point. Cameron takes the offer. Flies out the next Friday. Brings one suitcase and one new mindset. Pay attention. Not to who's speaking loudest, but to who's been watching longest. Elsewhere, Kelly, the intern who slid her seat closer to Ellis that day, gets invited to a private industry roundtable. No big announcement, just a short email. Mr. Ellis suggested your name. Hope to see you there. She forwards the message to her parents with just one line. He remembered. Mr. Ellis, meanwhile, returns to his city apartment. He doesn't host a press conference. Doesn't mention the trip on social media. Doesn't file a complaint or demand a report. He just updates a spreadsheet. Next to each name of staff and guest, he types one of 3 words. Observant. Calculating. Blind. No one sees it. But those words will matter in 6 months, when decisions about hires, deals, and invitations get made. He doesn't blacklist. He just remembers. That Thursday, he walks into a boardroom of a media firm he partially owns. The receptionist greets him like usual. But one of the VPs, a man who was on the yacht, stiffens when Ellis enters. They don't speak. Ellis doesn't need to. He just takes his seat, opens his notes, and begins the meeting. The VP keeps glancing over nervous. Because it's not that he did anything during the trip. It's that he didn't do anything after. And now he's wondering if silence has a shelf life. The ripple doesn't come from rage. It comes from recognition, from the way people shift slightly when they know they've been seen, from the missed chances, the conversations that almost happened, the partnerships that don't quite close. No one says it out loud, but every one of them knows. That man is still watching, and he already made up his mind. Mr. Ellis walks the marina again 2 months later. Same stride, same leather bag, different yacht. He boards with ease. Cameron meets him at the top of the ramp. Welcome back, sir. Good to see you again. They shake hands, firm, real. No need for introductions. Because some respect doesn't fade. It echoes. 6 months later, the ocean hasn't changed. It still moves slow. Still reflects light like memory. Still doesn't care who you are. But the people on it? Some of them are different now. A new charter begins. Different city. Different dock. Different crew. Same yacht. Mr. Ellis boards just after sunrise. No fanfare. Leather duffel. Kindle in hand. Quiet nod to the new captain. The crew greets him. All new faces except one. Cameron. Back from his 3-month run, now promoted. He steps forward with calm confidence. Good morning, sir. Good to see you again. They don't say much more. They don't need to. The new staff watches Ellis carefully. He doesn't give orders. He doesn't ask for extra. He just moves like the place already knows him. And over time, they begin to understand. They're not serving a guest. They're moving through his house. He doesn't wear the company t-shirt this time. No branding. No logos. But people know now. Word travels. The man who sits quietly by the rail, he owns more than the boat. He owns the silence between people who used to talk too much. On the third evening, Ellis sits on the back deck. No phone. No laptop. Just a book and a glass of water. Cameron passes by, slows. Same book. Different version. Ellis says, "This one I read slower." Cameron nods. Then walks on. Upstairs, one of the new servers asks the captain. He always that quiet. The captain leans on the rail. Yeah. Doesn't he get tired of people not knowing who he is? The captain shakes his head. He doesn't need people to know. Then why say anything at all? The captain looks out at the sea. Because eventually, someone always does. Later that night, in his cabin, Mr. Ellis opens his notebook. He flips past old entries. Didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. Let the world see who forgot how to look. Power is not in the correction, it's in the knowing. Tonight, he writes only one line. Stillness holds longer when they remember your name. He closes the notebook, sets it beside the window, and lets the moonlight sit on the page a while. Elsewhere, Logan walks through a city he thought he knew. New job, lower pay, lighter uniform. He still carries the moment, not as a weight, but as a shape. Something inside him changed. Quietly, permanently. And every time he sees someone like Mr. Ellis, calm, unseen, poised, he pauses, just a second longer than before. He doesn't speak, but he sees them now. And maybe that's enough. At the marina, another charter begins. Another crew boards. Among them is a young man, first time on a boat. Nervous, careful. Cameron trains him gently, tells him, don't just listen to what people say. Pay attention to what they don't explain. That's where the real story lives. The young man nods. He doesn't know who Ellis is yet, but when he sees him later, quiet, reading, present, he doesn't assume. He watches, learns, and begins his own notebook that night. Mr. Ellis stands alone on the front deck. Wind light, horizon wide. He closes his eyes, just for a moment, not to escape, just to feel how far he's come without needing to announce it. He breathes in, lets it go, and turns back toward the yacht. No speech, no ceremony, no last word, just a man who stayed the same. While the room finally caught up,